Hey, I'm your host, BKP, and I am at Circuit World in downtown Blue Ridge here in Circuit World. Hey, JR, how you doing? You got any hand sanitizer?
Yeah, good.
Do you have hand sanitizer?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to need some hand sanitizer. I got tissue. I'm sorry. I know what it looks like. I know what it must sound like. I'm on some daytime something. Thank you, JR. Very nice of you. I appreciate you, JR. Thanks. All right, it's sorry. Take a break here. I have to admit, I was up all night long. If you must know in the whole world, I'm on medication, man. I mean, I'm mailing it in. No pun intended, U.S. Postal Service. I wish I got the same rates as Amazon. That's good material, ain't it? Did you like that? That was pretty good. So I'm mailing it in. Too bad I don't get Amazon rates, and I promise to try to bring you the best show with the best information for 2 hours on Friday, and here's how we do that. You know, I don't feel well, but here's the good news. I have a doctor's appointment at 8:15 with Dr. Raymond Tidman, and so do you. You have a doctor's appointment. Dr. Ray Tidman will be here. Dr. Whaley is traveling, and Dr. Raymond Tidman will be here for our Ask the Doc in about 10 minutes. We'll get into that. Then we have our all-star political panel. Jane is still in Texas, visiting family, but Rick and Bruce will be here, and we'll talk about Amazon. We'll talk about postal rates. We'll talk about the troops, National Guard going to the border. Encino, California, is that the name of it? And Yerba Linda, California, and all these cities in California that are saying no to their state. You know, I always said I'd like to see some local governments, counties and cities push back on the states just a little. And they're doing that out in California because of the sanctuary city law out there. Sanctuary state, California sanctuary state. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about tariffs. We'll talk about soybean. Who would have thought it? But just here's what we're going to do. We're going to thaw out the script. I had a whole script written up. It's out. It's thrown out. Gone. You got the script up. You got. If Trump can throw out the script, so can I. President Donald Trump, he trolls the media. Yesterday, he goes down to White Sulphur Springs. That's the Greenbrier in West Virginia. He goes down there yesterday, and he's meeting there, and he's got a script, and he's like, oh, this is so boring. And he says, let's get rid of this. Let's just roll with it. Let's just have fun. We're in West Virginia. And I think he may have said, I might be making this up. He said, throw the script out because we're in West by God, Virginia, because that's where you got to know you're from, West by God, Virginia. Anyhow, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Trump throws the script out. The media has had a week that their heads have exploded. This guy tweets things out, and the next thing you know, they come true and they can't take it. Like there's that whole caravan thing. You know, the whole caravan of 1,000 people making their way across Mexico like they're on some kind of journey for our southern border. And the president says, you know that great sweetheart NAFTA deal where you're making Levi's down in Mexico and sending them up here? And by the way, you send them up here and you have the kids believing that they're all shredded up so they should pay $200. You know those jeans? Well, you're going to keep them down there. You're going to have a tariff on them because I'm going to rip up NAFTA if you let that caravan keep moving this way. Mexico decided to get involved and say, hey, you guys, maybe you should stop right here and we should talk. There you go. So another thing the president may have been correct on. But I want to go a different direction this morning, and that would be if you're in Georgia. And the reason I want to do this because we do have a national audience. There's several of you out there throughout the country that do tune in. And but remember nationally how fast the NRA and Delta and the lieutenant governor of Georgia's tweet. Delta put out a tweet. Casey Cagle put out a tweet. The NRA put out a tweet. I mean, that sounds like a bird. You say tweet, tweet, tweet 3 times fast, right, Amanda? But they were tweeting everywhere, and the next thing you know, Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle's on Fox News, and he's on every news channel. And he stood up to Delta when Delta went against the NRA. So that being said, Secretary of State Brian Kemp, he is I guess, what would I call it? He is a candidate. Now, these are candidates for governor. He is throwing the penalty flag. He's saying to the NRA, whoa, 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 maybe Casey Cagle has gotten over on you. And I'm thinking, So I have a letter. And I'm doing this publicly on the show. I have a letter that Brian Kemp sent to the NRA, and I'm going to read the first part, and we'll talk about it a little later. As you know, I am a Republican candidate for governor of Georgia. My opponent, Casey Cagle, made quite a spectacle trashing Delta Airlines this legislative session, trying to show he is a strong supporter of the NRA. I'm quite sure he has been pushing for, if not demanding your endorsement now that the session is done. He has proudly brought up to you and others this tweet. So Brian Kemp sends the NRA a letter saying, hey, NRA, I'm for sure that Casey Cagle is pushing you for an endorsement now that the session is over. And he goes on to say, that sounds real good, but there's one big problem with it. The NRA is getting played. Now, Kemp sends this letter to the NRA, and I'm talking the higher up level of the NRA. I'm not going to give you the name that I have a copy of where this went to. He just goes right in and says, that sounds real good, but there's one big problem with it. The NRA is getting played. Please have your team review HB 930. That is a bill that just passed. Now, we have a reporter, FetcherNews.com, FYN, has a reporter working on this now that will be releasing a story. We have contacted the NRA. We have contacted Cagle's camp. We have contacted Kemp's camp, which has made some more statements. And we have one more thing that we're going to put out here on the air that we're also asking for. Now, I can't go into the full letter right now. I do want to say this is one of the statements or one of the quotes that Brian Kemp made to the NRA concerning Casey Cagle. As those of us involved in Georgia politics like to say, you've been Casey Cagled. So that's pretty firm. Now here, before we move on from this topic, and the reason I bring this up, because a lot of people around the country, all you got to see was the TV showing the Delta tweet, and then the TV showing Casey Cagle's tweet back, and then the NRA's tweet, and some of the underlying things that took place during that time you may not have gotten to see. And Brian Kemp, candidate for governor, said to the NRA, hey, I think you've been played. Now, here's one other thing before I move on this little subject here. The NRA sends the candidates a questionnaire, okay? And I want to bring this up, okay? The NRA sends all candidates a questionnaire. And the questionnaire, all right, I'm trying to, hold on just a second. All right. All candidates receive a questionnaire to fill out for the NRA. And it says 2018 Georgia Candidate Questionnaire. It has the name and the office you are seeking. And I'm just going to give you the first question. Do you agree that the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution guarantees a fundamental individual right to keep and bear arms that applies to all law-abiding Americans regardless of where they live in the United States? Yes or no? Brian Kemp checked yes. Here's the point, is I have candidate Kemp's full NRA questionnaire here in front of me. And there's like 16 questions, and they're pretty deep. So here's what I'm asking for, and we have a reporter that is asking this morning. We would like to see every candidate's NRA questionnaire that you sent in, okay? We'd like to see them all because Kemp's campaign sent us the questionnaire, and it's big and deep, and it asks, do do you support open carry? Not quote, but the question is here, and the candidates have to answer it. So we would like to see at FYN every candidate's questionnaire that they turned in to the NRA, regardless if you're running for lieutenant governor, regardless if you're running for secretary of state, regardless if you're running for governor of Georgia. We would like to see your NRA questionnaire, because we do have Brian Kemp's right here in front of us. So that means everybody got one. Maybe you didn't turn it in. We'll see. So that's what I wanted to open with, is how hot these races are becoming in Georgia. And we have done candidate interviews. Now Monday, we will have in studio Rick Day. Rick Day is a Democrat candidate on the ballot this fall, and he is running for Georgia House Seat 7, Representative House Seat 7 here in North Georgia. Rick Day will be with us in studio 8:30 Monday morning. Tuesday morning at 8:30, we will have candidate for Secretary of State, Josh McCoon. And at 9 o'clock, we will have Lieutenant Governor, also candidate for Georgia Governor, Casey Cagle. Casey Cagle will be with us Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, so we have a full list. So I just threw the script out, Amanda, and went with whatever. So did you know I was going to do my NRA story? Is it interesting?
It is interesting.
Interesting. It is fired up. It's like, I tell you what I think is happening. I think it's like Brian Kemp is trying to move this to a two-man race. Okay? All the emails Kemp sends out, and I know, you know, look, I brought up, there's some success in it because I brought up only two names this morning, right? Hunter Hill is not in that loop. And I know Brian Kemp, everything his campaign sends out, it'll say two-man race. So they are trying to push all the other candidates aside and saying that Brian Kemp is the number. I think right now, obviously, with the money they're trying to catch up with, Casey Cagle has, maybe his claim is the second candidate right now in the race. So Trump goes down to West Virginia. Now, I want to bring this up before we go into Ask the Doc. I do not think the EPA Secretary Scott Pruitt should be fired. I do not. I do not think so. Okay? I think he has done an outstanding job. I think the people of West Virginia, Donald Trump came out and they asked him yesterday as he was leaving West Virginia, the President of the United States, about Scott Pruitt. And he said, hey, I just left coal country, an energy state in coal country here, and they like Scott Pruitt. They like him a lot. So I don't think Scott Pruitt's going anywhere, all right? And Joe Manchin, President of the United States, went down there because there is a West Virginia congressman, Republican by the name of Evan Jenkins. And Evan Jenkins is running for Senate against Joe Manchin, Democrat. Now, Joe Manchin has sold himself to the people of West Virginia as a moderate Democrat that would work with the President of the United States, but has yet to. Bottom line, Trump said it yesterday. Manchin wants to go down to West Virginia and sell the people in West Virginia that he is a senator that is pro-life. He's a senator that is NRA, moderate Democrat that would like to work with the president. But the president goes to West Virginia yesterday and reminds the people there he has yet to. Manchin has voted against everything Donald Trump has put on the table. Manchin has opposed everything that the president has put on the table. Manchin has voted lockstep with Chuck Schumer. So that's why I went down there yesterday. I'm off script, just like the president. Off script, just throw it out. It's time for Ask the Doc after these messages. And with Dr. Raymond Tidman, he's with us today. And then after that, we'll have the all-star panel, and we'll really open this thing up. Maybe we'll talk about UPS. I am so glad the Doc's here because I got a doctor's appointment at 8:15, and so do you. Take us to break, Amanda.